Hey Mexicans, welcome back to this new video where today we're going to be looking at part 3 of What If the USA Collapsed. So yeah, let's begin. So, in the after that Great War, which saw massive changes, we also have New York and Pennsylvania collapsing after the war and getting split up by their neighbors. So what's happening is that Canada and everyone else gained more land too. So that's pretty much it for Pennsylvania and New York. These areas haven't collapsed because of one particular reason. These three became puppets of the Kentucky, Kentucky, Tennessee Empire. Oh yeah, speaking of that, there's actually going to be a very significant civil war going on that'll influence a bunch. We actually have Texas falling apart. We have the normal government and fascist government in the east. There's also forces in my empire that take the advantage to take some good Texan land. So while that's happening, my empire takes the capitalist opportunity to expand from the Mexican puppet and also the Coloradian puppet, which finally, after a long time, has connected their lands. And they're becoming pretty close to getting their land back. Wyoming, who's aligned with me, also takes over that land. Takes over some land from that, too. The heavy lifting goes to me. A lot of me. However, good chunks of, what would have been, the original Texas border does get taken by the new government. Eventually, I push in and kind of just cut off the new Texas government from any expansion into the old Texan land. This eventually leads to a peace treaty, of which I do kind of trade some land in order to clean up their border a little bit, giving them some recognizable features. Not everything, but close enough to the recognizable. It'll be close enough to their old border. So yeah, let's take a look at this peace treaty. So in this peace treaty, we have the original southern border that Texas had with Mexico being receded back to the new Texas. And we also have this border being finalized, which pretty much solidifies them into this area of Texas. We have Mexico gaining its old land over here. We have Colorado being united into two puppets, and along with that, Wyoming gains that little tail that Texas had over here, and that little tail over here that Texas had. And then the rest of Texas, which is western Texas, still has some of its old lands back. Yeah, that becomes a puppet of the empire. So, well, we're getting close to having everything connected, but it's not quite there yet. Seeing as over here in over here in the West Coast, you can go from Wyoming through Oregon. Then we head through California, getting into Colorado, then Western Texas, and into Mexico till you get to Yucatan. That's the whole like West Coast thing of all my possessions. However, if you want to get to the East Coast, you have to go through allies. Not really my own land yet. However, we're working on that. As Texas itself, this new Texas is not going to last long. You may ask why. Well, because, quite frankly, I didn't like the new Texas. It was fascist and it stands against my ideals. And I actually just decided to attack Oklahoma and Arkansas for better connection. So, yeah, that sucks. But you know what's interesting? At first, Texas is able to push back. Not completely, but, you know, enough. But then after that, they're done. And the two Texas are reunited. The two Texases are reunited once again. And along with that, we have Arkansas and Oklahoma being killed once again. In this peace treaty, Oklahoma's borders don't change. Arkansas's borders, however, kind of does. A little bit. They lose another nub to the Kentucky-Tennessee Empire. You also have Mississippi finally getting a land change. But as for the rest of Arkansas, it's kind of left alone. Just only chunks that have actually been lost here are eastern Arkansas. The complete land loss is actually over here, which the two Texases unite. It was inevitable. However, it did happen. It did happen because when my empire wants to connect everything in the U.S., that's what happens. And Texas, West Texas and East Texas finally unite into just Texas. And while it did lose some northern territories in Mexico, it still has a more than normal Texas, so it's a win. And while we have these lands in eastern Arkansas being lost, we finally have the connection between Texas and we finally have the connection between all my puppets in the East Coast, and we have the connection between my puppets in the West Coast and my puppets in the East Coast. So now if you want to get to let's just say from Frankfurt all the way over here to what is the major Portland. Yep, Portland. So from Frankfurt you would go down here, going through Alabama and Mississippi, getting into Arkansas, and then Oklahoma. Then eventually you get into Texas, and that's where you go into Colorado. And I built some infrastructure going through this little area. And eventually we make it to California. And at this point we just go to I-5 and then make it to Portland. And we also have the connection to Mexico too, so we can get to the Yucatan too. Everything is interconnected. The California state can go to the Yucatan state, and then the normal empire right here. It's all interconnected now. And quite frankly, that ends my ambitions in the North American continent. I pretty much own like a good chunk of it. So now that we've done that, I'm going colonial. And the closest colonial targets are over here in West Africa. So I'm going to West Africa. We're gonna first start with Mali and Mauritania, as they're clearly easy targets. This starts the colonial empire. You have my troops landing over here in the coast of Mauritania, taking that over, and then Mauritania folds. You have the arable parts of Mali going over to my empire, and then they fold too. In this peace treaty, the colony of Mauritania is established. And now Mauritania is a part of the Kentucky-Tennessee Empire. And, yeah, that's everything. That's everything here. We've started a colonial empire, and it's pretty much gonna become very powerful. I go ahead and make a stop in the Middle East. But before I do, I head to the Strait of Gibraltar, and I go over and invade both Spain and Morocco. I also get to Western Sahara, Algeria, and Niger, so I can, well, connect these areas. My troops that are here take over the point over here, taking over Madrid, and eventually I collapse both of the two. I also have these countries folding. And I have Mauritania expanding over here. But see, now there's these countries which become mashed into one colonial possession, and it connects with Mauritania. We'll see the states of this later on. And Spain is also a part of this, taking over the Strait of Gibraltar and controlling the entrance of the Mediterranean. And now I get through that whole thing, and now I decide to control both exit points of the Mediterranean. First is Egypt. They own the Suez Canal. I don't want to own all of Egypt, I just want to own that Suez Canal area. So yeah, that falls. And I only control the Suez Canal. In the peace treaty, Egypt loses only the Suez Canal. It's bad for them, however good for me. And quite frankly, I don't care if it's bad for them. Because I'm an empire and I think about only myself. So the Suez Canal pretty much gets to my hands along with the Sinai Peninsula, which connects me to the Middle East, which eventually kind of makes me just go ahead and take that area so that I can get all the oil. See, I'll save you the details, but yeah, the Middle East is mine now. Well, some oil-rich areas of it, not everything. The rest of Egypt kind of just becomes a puppet of mine. It's the first ever It's the first ever puppet I've made outside of the North Americas. But that's not the only one I'll make. As there's also another country that I eventually invade for the other exit of the Mediterranean. That's right, Turkey. They own the Bosphorus Strait in Constantinople. And I take Constantinople. Thrice eventually kind of folds to me. And then a two-front war in Turkey is established with me invading through Kurdistan. Kurdistan eventually kind of breaks away from Turkey. And I also have going from the Bosphorus Strait a connection to Kurdistan. You have the taking of Ankara, and eventually the fall of Turkey. We can go ahead and take a look at a peace treaty of Turkey, which I'll show you what it looks like. So, in the peace treaty, you may think that nothing has changed, however things have changed. As I do annex a bit of land, which is a bit in Turkey above Iraq and Constantinople. Thrice, the regular Turkey and Kurdistan are all puppeted. And this makes my empire grow in size. It's still not the biggest yet. We'll eventually get there though. So yeah, that'll end this video. Now see, the reason why I made this video is because I'm going on vacation later today. So you won't be seeing many if any videos. Since I'll be on vacation and heading to Florida and then Cuba. So yep. That ends this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in another video. Goodbye.